Sharmin Segal, I've been waiting to talk to you.
Been waiting to talk to you too.
It's been really quite some time that, I called up your mom, even before the movie Heeramandi went to the public's eye. And I said, I want to talk to your daughter. I want to talk to you. Let's talk together. She said, no, you talk to Sharmin. I said, fine, I'll wait. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are, finally.
Okay, let's get straight to the main point. Everybody knows you today.
Yeah, a lot of people.
And how do you take that?
I noticed it the most when I've been stepping out. So I fly a lot back and forth from Ahmedabad to Bombay. And I think at the airports is when I see it the most. Once I was crossing security and the security lady came up to me and boarding pass, they don't ask for your boarding pass unless they find something in your bag. I don't even know. So they've come up to me and they're like, ma'am, aapka boarding pass, please. And I was like, kyun? And then they were like, I gave them my boarding pass and they're like, Alam Zeb. And I was like, okay. So it feels good. And then obviously we clicked photos and all together, but it's been nice, like watching people noticing me and like the work that I've put in, because at the end of the day, we did put in a lot of hard work into this show. Like 3 years of my life went into this show. So to see people acknowledge that in any way, it feels nice.
Somehow, unfortunately, people are acknowledging your presence in a negative way. They have jumped on the internet and started lashing out what we call them as trolls. Now, when it all started, how did you take it? Initially, what was your reaction?
I think it's been a journey, honestly, like dealing with all kinds of responses from day one, from the day that the show dropped. These interviews did come out actually before the show dropped. All my media bites came out before the show dropped. But since the day the show dropped, it's been a whole bunch. It started with good criticism. Like I was very open, very willing to read all of those comments because there were some people that were criticizing, and I'm always open to that because you put in your hard work and after that, you're a creative person. There's always a different approach. There's always a maybe better approach.
A constructive approach.
Yeah, so that was the first few days. Then after that, I think every day was something different where things were being kind of taken out of context. Things that I had said were being taken out of context. And then that was becoming a topic of conversation. And like funny things also were being taken out of context, like me scratching my nose was being taken out of context, me and my co-actors. But I think somewhere that kind of diluted people's criticism on my performance. I felt like the focus had shifted from constructive criticism on my performance to just portraying me as somebody that's rude and like brash and disrespectful to my co-actors, which then I stopped paying attention to even the constructive criticism because it was all just a mix of things. And I think at this point I'm trying to filter it, but now the feedback I get from the people that I know matters to me more. And there are people, like literally I bumped into someone in a line to get coffee the other day who turned around and looked at me and said, what's happening to you is not fair. Like it's going a bit too far and it's really like this is not necessary. So some random person coming up to me and saying that who doesn't know me from Adams, but she's saying it to me face to face. Here what's happening is comments are dictating who I am as a person, which I think is not really fair in the larger scheme of things.
Has it affected your well-being in some way?
I mean, it's not really affected my well-being because I have a very solid support system in life, my family, but somewhere on the line, you have to acknowledge that failure and success is the part of everyone's journey in life. So that's how I'm trying to perceive it and take it. And also we live in a world where somewhere this has become an inevitability, where it's just this overexposure, the ability to constantly create content and put it out there, judge people. So I'm trying to take it as a part of life. But I mean, yeah, it does somewhere just feel a little like off that people have the ability to define someone without knowing them. So,
Your support system means you come home, you find your best friend Aman, whom you married.
yeah.
How has he taken it?
He's been very supportive throughout the process. He's been there for me whenever I've needed him. And I can talk to him about things because, as you said, he's my best friend and my husband. And then my sister has been there for me throughout everything. My parents have been there. My dogs, they take up so much of my time that sometimes I forget that the rest of the world exists because my dogs are just running around. I got a small puppy, 5 months old, just chewing my furniture everywhere. So I literally just try to stop him all the time. So I just forget about what's happening in the outside world. So they have been a very good like grounding factor in my
Have the
life.
Heeramandi actors called you and said, forget this nonsense, just move on?
There are actually, all of them have called me to check in on me. And generally, I think the two people that have really stood out the most have been Richa and Aditi, who have really called me and checked in on me. And it generally, I think, it doesn't go to this degree, but Richa has reached out to me almost every alternate day just to make sure that I'm okay, because I think she does understand this to some
That's
degree.
fantastic. I mean, she's carrying, and in this time also, she's
Yeah, she's
constantly thinking about you.
very thoughtful. And like, I really appreciate having the support system of women that I've worked with, because they, more than my family, they understand it better because they're from the industry. They have a body of experience. So that's also one support system that has been very strong.
You know what is strangely not being seen, and if I can say this by the trolls, that you could have pushed yourself much earlier as a heroine. You have a support system of that kind also when it comes to Bhansali, when it comes to your mother, Leela Segal, who's a fantastic creative on all his films. But you didn't. You chose to, go through the grind. You went through Mary Kom, you went through Ram Leela in phases, Bajirao Mastani, and all others behind the scenes. That is not being understood.
No, at that point I wasn't.
They just feel that, you're privileged and she's there. And she's there just for that.
At that point, I wasn't very sure about acting also as a career. I needed to know that it was something that I could do when I started off working in this industry. And I needed to put myself through the grind and work hard to prove to myself as much as to everybody else. I think that for me was more to prove to myself that it's something that I can do. Because other people, the audiences probably would never even know this about me, that I've gone through this entire process, or would not acknowledge it maybe, because what they're seeing on screen is just, what I'm giving them is just me in Heeramandi, or me in Malal, or me in Aditi Bhuto Baba. That's what they are paying to watch. But this was more for myself, for me to put in the hard work, because at the end of the day, that's what will help me sleep at night, knowing that I have given my 100% in every possible situation that I can give it in. That's from day one. That's just how I've been as a person, with everything, not just with acting, with my entire life. Like, when you commit to something, you give it your 100% to the point where you know, and you in your heart know that you've put in the work. The result is most of the time not in your control. So, yeah.
But many actors, even from Heeramandi, when they started their respective careers, they were not what they are today. They were not as accomplished from the word go. Now, without naming them, we all know that they've started early.
Yeah.
So, I don't understand. I myself don't understand what is this trolling about. I mean, give somebody some time. That's how I feel. And, of course, you are in public domain, you are an actor, you're going to be judged. But give some time. Yes, okay, fine, criticize. But, before you come to so much of essays and volumes being written, I think certain time should be given. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with it, but also an audience perspective is such that it's for me, when I'm acting for an audience. So for me, it's it is their right to say us what they want to say and how they want to perceive the product that I have given them or that I have created. But what's happening is, I think it's gone far beyond just giving me a chance as an actor. That is one of my biggest, like, that's what I feel the most, like, strongly about. It's gone far. It's not about give me some time to be a better actor. I'm not asking for that. I'm saying don't make me a bad human being. That is the one thing that has stood out to me in this, and that's my learning throughout this process, that it's not about, it's the focus has completely shifted from good acting, bad acting,
And it's becoming personal.
and it's becoming to the point where it's describing my character. So my point is, maybe yes, you do have the right to judge my acting at whatever stage in my career, but don't judge my character, me, Sharmin's character.
Where did you feel that?
I mean, I felt it throughout the last 1 month. It's come up in various places, and it's been headlines. So like reading those headlines only, I felt it, and I just felt that was a little unfair and pushing it. But I think audiences do have the right to judge my work. I mean, at whatever stage they choose to judge it in, I'll keep working and trying to get better throughout, from my first film to until I continue acting or I keep getting opportunities to be able to act. I'll keep trying to better my work, whatever their perception of it is.
You miss Mumbai.
I go back and forth.
I mean, Ahmedabad, and
I love Ahmedabad. It's
time.
It's a beautiful city. And the weather is great when it's great. It's also very hot when it's hot. It's much hotter than Bombay. So I love it's a lot, the pace of Ahmedabad is a lot more slower than Bombay. So, and also all my work is in Bombay, therefore I feel the pace of Bombay is much more. But I love Ahmedabad. I also miss my family. I miss my mom and my sister and my dad whenever I'm there. But 45-minute flight, Bombay to Ahmedabad.
Go back to your childhood. Tell me, how were you as a student? You grew up. Was your mom, Leela Segal, strict? How many marks you're getting? Where are you at 7:30? Why don't you come home by 8? Were those things happening? Tell us about that whole thing.
I mean, my childhood was actually really nice. I think my parents were always of the idea that they let me make my mistakes. They let me be like making the right friends, the wrong friends. They never said, "Okay, you can't be friends with this person. You can't go here, and you can't eat this, and you can't do this." So they've been very liberal with me in that sense throughout my life. They never said, "Okay, you have to grow up and do this only." They've never said those things to me. So they've always let me choose my path in life. And growing up, I was fun. Me and my sister were like partners in crime. We used to love watching movies. So we used to make tents in our house and watch movies every day after tuitions. And studies-wise, I wanted to become a doctor actually till I was 18, till I was 17. And then I took theatre in school and I fell in love with performing and creating. And it was something I just really felt attracted towards. Obviously, at that point, I had no idea that films was even a thought on my mind, because I've grown up in an environment where we call us privileged children because our parents are part of the film industry, whichever children. But for me, that was never, it wasn't an option. It wasn't a thought up until much later. Like I told you, up until I worked hard enough in my own eyes to be able to deserve that opportunity.
You didn't want to ride on that.
I didn't say it up until I'd finished assisting on Bajirao Mastani. I didn't say I wanted to become an actor. Mere man mein to tha कि I like doing this when I took theatre in school, but it couldn't even come out of my mouth until I knew that that's something that I, in my own eyes, will be able to do.
That's exactly what I said earlier. You could have pushed your way a little earlier, or maybe much earlier, but you chose to
मेरे लिए वो thought ही नहीं था. That wasn't even a thought for me. Could have pushed my way was never a thought in my mind. because that's not how we've been raised. We've never been raised with, okay, your parents are doing this and your family is part of this, so you can do it if you want to do
Or
it.
you should do it.
Or you should, though, was never a question. Can was more of the word. You can do this if you. The option wasn't presented to us. If it's something I wanted to do, I worked towards it, and then eventually I had to prove myself, even go through the grind of Heeramandi. There was a grind before I started even shooting Heeramandi.
As far as I know, even your mom and your uncle didn't recommend your name or didn't push your name anywhere, and
No, they really,
on their own accord also they didn't
no,
drop the name anywhere.
No, I mean, I didn't push as much because, again, opportunities are earned and capitalized on. And I really tried to earn this opportunity. Like, I worked hard to be able to get an opportunity in Heeramandi as well. So, people, like, my first film released in 2019. And since then, I worked before that film also very hard towards that film. Since then, I've also just been working towards something. Like what opportunities materialize throughout that process, it's not really in my control. If something does materialize, then like I'm very grateful that it does, and I do want to give it my 100%.
You said you love movies. So according to you, Bhansali की सबसे अच्छी picture कौन सी है?
Devdas.
How many times have you seen it?
I want to say 10 times roundabout.
Okay.
I enjoy watching it.
And why do you say so? Like, if you could
because
just elaborate.
It showed me who Sanjay Bhansali was as a creator. It's a privilege to know Sanjay Bhansali as a person for me, personally.
When you see a film like
When
that.
I see a film like that. It literally like blew my mind, the complexities of all the characters. Chandramukhi's character, Devdas's character, even Paro's character. And I saw it, it was made when I was 4 years old. The first time I saw it, I was probably 5. And then...
But at that age, you could...
I couldn't understand anything at that age, so I was just doing dolare with my sister. But...
In that tent, I believe.
In the tent. And at 18, when I watched it, at this point, again, I hadn't said it out loud that I wanted to be in films, but like it inspired me to create something larger than life. And to create it in 2000, to make a film like Devdas, was, I thoroughly I was proud to see that kind of work being created in 2000. Nobody was making movies like that in that year.
What's next?
What's next? I don't know. Right now, I'm just processing a lot of things and taking it as it comes, because it's not, I don't think I can say anything
Phone calls
concrete.
aaye hain filmmakers ki after Heeramandi.
I've gotten, people have reached out to me, but I'm not really actively pursuing anything right now. I'm just taking it as it comes, because it's a lot to process.
You've been through a lot, and I think this is the right question to ask you. What does this all signify when you see so much of aggression on the internet, when you see so much of aggression coming our way on the phones? Even if it is a WhatsApp message by someone you know, and sometimes people just write whatever they want. What does it signify about the times that we are living in? So
WhatsApp, usually people don't, nobody has said anything bad. There's no aggression on WhatsApp. The aggression is in places where people are, you don't know them. There's no identity to them. That's where the most of the aggression lies, from my experience in the last 1 month. And I think it's just it's a lot of power. Ooh, with great power comes great responsibility. It's a lot of power in the hands of an audience today, in the hands of the public today, and they can use it in any way they please. But what it's taught me as a person is it's just the world we live in, where good and bad are perceptions created by masses. And when
that's what it tells you.
yeah, that good and bad are perceptions created by masses, and that goes across the board with most things. Like it's advertisements, it's comments, it's reels, and that can definitely take a toll on someone's mental health. An individual who is put in the spotlight, which is where I've been for the last 1 month, and you have to learn to come to terms with the fact that it's a part of life today. It's the world we live in, and how you perceive it is like up to you. It's
So how much do we believe? How much should you believe? How much should I believe? I mean, what we are being fed with is all distorted versions.
it is definitely distorted. And also the thing is, look at the volume. The volume also matters when you're like, if it's a big thing, people will talk about it more, believe it more, because somewhere volume and believing go hand in hand. If more people say, then more people believe. But I think on a human level, you have to listen to yourself,
voice.
your inner voice, and the people closest to you, because they will give you a perspective. Like, they will also help you decode what is being spoken about you on a mass level by people who don't know you. They don't know who I am as a person. So it's a tricky one when you're in the spotlight. But I also feel like I'm in a position where I have the ability to help, like, say something of consequence, because I'm also in the spotlight. So I'm like privileged to be in this position as well. So I think I mentally will deal with it on my own and take care of my own well-being simultaneously. I just hope that people are a little more sympathetic towards portraying characters of human beings. They're playing a character on screen. Them as a person, it's quite unfortunate that like a comment section can shape a human being's character.
I think enough time has gone by and you're listening to your inner voice now.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And you also haven't used, I shouldn't call this word opportunity, but what actors do is when they have movies release or even if there's a debut, they immediately hire some paparazzi, if I can use that word.
Yeah.
And wherever they go to the gym, they go to a restaurant, they'll even sometimes get some hero baju mein and create a story. What's cooking? You haven't done anything of that sort, even like going to a gym and getting photographed.
I'm trying not to.
Because people are talking about you. Your following has increased on the Instagram.
Yeah.
So the ladder is there.
I'm trying not to play on optics over here and skew people's thought process. I think it, again, like I said earlier, an audience and the public have the right today to say, they have the right all the time to say what they want to say. But I literally, the only thing that like stood out for me, which I wanted to put across or would ever want to put across, is like judging someone's personality and turning them into a bad person is not okay. That's literally the only thing that I would want to put out there. I don't need to be seen coming out of the gym. I don't need to be seen at the airport. I mean, they are there. Sometimes it does happen. It's happened before with me when there have been, I go to a celebrity gym. So they used to stand outside the gym and take photos of anyone that came out of the gym. So, and I don't necessarily think that an audience needs to see that about me. And they'll see my work and judge it, which is another thing. I'm not giving you my Sharmin personality to judge. I'm giving you my work to judge. So, and that, I think it's a scary thing to say out loud, because people say that when you're in the public eye, people have the right to judge you and say whatever they want about you. And it's not something anyone can do something about, which is why it's scary to talk about. That it is your right to judge my work, but I'm not giving you Sharmin to judge. I'm giving you my acting to judge, something that my craft to judge, and that I have no issue with. good, bad, positive, negative. I'm open to everything in that department. But I can't give you Sharmin to judge. Or I can't let it affect me. Let me put it like that. I can't let it get to my head. It does somewhere play on the mind. But that's where social media responsibility would come into play, which I don't personally think exists in today's day and age. But maybe we'll get there someday, where people will realize that you can't keep judging someone's personality without knowing who they are, especially with things that are being taken out of context. So that's kind of what's been happening with me. And like, I wanted to address it. I want to address it. I wanted to talk about it, which is why I'm very happy I met you also, because it's something I'm scared to talk about, because right now I'm at that stage in my life where I'm like, कि सही बोलूं, एक बोलूं तो भी लोग उठ के कुछ बोलेंगे, दो बोलूं तो भी लोग उठ के कुछ बोलेंगे, तीन बोलूं तो भी लोग उठ के कुछ बोलेंगे. तो in the middle, it scared me to put this point across, but it is the reality. It is what's going on right now, and it's going on with me, which is why I want to talk about it. But it's not just going on with me, it's going on with so many people because of social media, where their personalities are being judged to the point where it plays on a person's mind. And it makes them, it puts them in a much harder situation. I'm not saying it like destroys their lives, but it does destroy some people's lives. I'm not saying it's destroying my life, but it's sad to just see. So, yeah, social media responsibility.
Thank you, Sharmin. Thank you so much for
Thank
this
you.
engaging conversation.
Thank you so much.
It was really nice talking to you.
Thank you. It was very nice talking to you too.
Thank you.